Hi everyone, happy Wednesday. It's time to ramble. Let's ramble on Wednesday. I'm Nathan, and we are doing a salute to Arkham Horror, the card game. Let's see, I got a box here. There it is, Arkham Horror, the card game. Okay, so this is a deck bringing game where you build your deck and then you bring it to the game, as opposed to a deck building game when you build it during the game. No, you have to build it beforehand and bring it to the game. Let's see, you play an investigator who tries to defeat evil, and it's cooperative. Evil is represented by a deck and a scenario that's in a book. You read little paragraphs out of the book before and after the scenario, before and after the adventure, scenario, quest, whatever you want to call it. And your deck is your deck represents your skills and assets and so forth and so on. How did this happen? It's a horror game. It's got 50, 60 expansions. How could this have happened to me? Oh my gosh. Let me tell you something. I was minding my own business looking at the Lord of the Rings card game. Made by the same company, Fantasy Flight Games, same thing. Hundreds of expansions. You build your deck and bring it to the game. And so forth. Different rule set, but anyway, I was looking at Lord of the Rings cards at the game store, and what does that say? Oh, someone enthusiastically, at the next section over, was enthusiastically selling her man on Arkham Horror, the Living Horror game. So I overheard that, and well, it worked on me too. So, anyway, so for this salute, we're doing 5 salutes. And first up, salute to the story. We've got 8 campaigns, maybe 7. I think it's 8. We're going to go with 8 campaigns. Most of them, except for the starting campaign that's in the starting box, have 8 chapters in them. They have 8 chapters each. And you just get ready to read, okay? You have to be ready to read. You have to read before. In the campaign book, there's opening paragraphs that you read to set up the scenario. The book has, depending on your outcome, you can get one of 2 or 3 different conclusions at the end of the scenario. And you read act cards, you read agenda cards, you read location cards. All this stuff has, itchy eyebrow, all this stuff has text, and it's all great. It's very evocative. You definitely want to read it. If you're playing with other people, you definitely want to read it out loud. It's great. Your actions in the game, what you do and the decisions you make and stuff, even affect the story a little bit. Usually, we're just going for, does evil win or do you win? And this game does include failing forward, so even if you do fail and have to be miserable, you probably will get to continue the story, and it's mostly unchanged. I mean, you have a little effect on the story, but also, of course, all the scenarios can be played. Let's see, I've got some scenarios here. All the scenarios, here's one, can be played, like standalone or, of course, as part of the 8-chapter story. So that's fine. If you have one you like, you can play it by itself and test your deck with it. Or if you have one that you think is good for drawing new people into the game, you can do that one. Just do that one by itself. Or you can tell the longer story. Let's see. Okay, next for there's even side quests. This is one of my all-time favorite. I didn't want to leave it out. Murder at Excelsior Hotel, which is kind of like Arkham Horror Clue. It's really great. It's the all-time best scenario, probably, possibly. I don't know. Probably. Next up, salute to deck building. Okay, so you build your deck, and then you bring it to the game. I've called it deck bringing. Most decks, there are a few exceptions here and there. A few investigators are the exception, but most decks are 30 cards, and most decks have two copies of each card as the limit. So, much like Nate's 8, you can decide that's much smaller than decks usually are in deck bringing games. So it's going to be harder to narrow your deck down to 30 cards. Or you could say, well, it'll be easier to get to 30 cards because I only have to get to 30. I don't have to get to 50 or 60. So much like Nate's 8 as opposed to a top 10, it's either easier or harder. It depends. I don't know. Could go either way. And that's, let's see. Oh, and then the investigators are limited in what kinds of, their card pools are restricted. You know, you can't just put any card in any deck. Most cards go in most decks, but can go in most decks, but mostly they're restricted. Like Agnes can take purple. This is Agnes. She can take purple cards, but you can also have spell cards of any color. This lady here, Stella can only do red. Only red cards for Stella. So, you know, you get the idea. You can also use the experience points you gain. You gain experience points from accomplishments, essentially, while you're playing out the chapter. Yeah, accomplishments while you're playing out the chapter give you experience points, and experience points can buy you new better cards. Your deck size will still generally be limited to 30, so you have to swap stuff out, and that's never easy for me. Might be easier for you. It's not easy for me. And let's see, there's an app. Of course I don't have my phone. Of course I don't have my backup phone, which I really needed, especially for the last salute, but that's okay, we'll just keep going. But there's an app that helps a lot. You go into the app and you check off which expansions you have. I've got Murder at the Excelsior Hotel, better check that off. I've got this Path to Carcosa, better check that off. I have a revised core set, very important if you're buying it. Go for the revised core set. Don't go for the original core set, even though it's probably a lot cheaper. It's not worth it. Get the revised core set. Got the revised core set, so you check each one off on your thingy, and then you click which character you're going to play. I'm going to play Daniela. So then you go into the app and say, I'd like to make a Daniela deck. And then it will list all the cards that you own that Daniela is eligible to have. And that app helps a lot. It's called Arkham Cards. It is fantastic and helps so much with deck building that I can't even begin to tell you. Or it makes deck building harder because you know all of your options. You can see all of your options right here on your phone. And so that makes it harder to narrow it down to 30 cards. I don't know. Could go either way. Next up, Salute number 3. Salute to the rules. The rules are easy to learn. They facilitate keeping the game moving. There's very little iconography. There's some, but there's very little. There are very few keywords that really are loaded, with other game mechanics in it. The turns are quick. There's not a lot of downtime. There's usually a lot to do. There is downtime, but not a lot. What else? Now, yes, with over 1,000 cards, I don't know how many cards there are. I should have checked before I made this video. That would have been something nice to look up while I was getting my backup phone, which is way over there. But with over 1,000 cards, some of them are bound to interact in strange ways. There's going to be strange interactions between them. But the lead investigator rule, where the lead investigator kind of breaks ties and stuff. The grim rule that says, when in doubt, pick the grimmest outcome, which is, I don't know about that one. I tend to do with the flavorful rule. When in doubt, pick the most flavorful outcome. Yeah. And the big rules glossary, which I was going to, squeaky chair, which I was going to get out so I could show you. I think it might be this thing. Yeah, see, this giant rules reference glossary has all your rules, has many rules in alphabetical order. Many. So that helps a lot too. But still, you're going to get some weird interactions. It's just going to happen. And that's just something you accept. But those 3 things, the flavorful rule, the lead investigator, and the big rules glossary, just kind of keep things moving. Also, shout out while we're on the rules to the randomizer bag. Not dice, not cards. We got a clicky-click bag. You essentially compare your skill number. Say Daniela here has a brain of 4. Where's her brain at? There it is. Her brain number there is 4. So, and the test is a 3. So we're going to draw a token out. And it's a, where am I? Oh, here I am. And it's a -1. That's a 1. Doink. It's a -1. So she succeeds. Hooray. 3-3. Investigators win on ties. For a horror game, that's extremely generous of them. So, shout out to the clicky-clicky bag that you get to draw out of, because drawing things out of bags is fun. Salute number 4. Salute to collecting. Yeah, it's collectible. The packs aren't randomized. You know exactly what you're getting. You can go online. You can go on the app. You can ask me. You will know exactly what you're getting out of a pack. I know exactly what I'm getting out of this Stella pack, because it's the same thing that's in every single Stella pack. So, that's fine. They're not randomized like Magic or Pokemon or whatever. And all these packs also, when a pack is going to give you a card, it's going to give you 2 copies. And 2 copies is how many you get. Or how many the maximum you get to put into your deck. So, this really only causes problems if you have more than one person trying to get the same card to put in their deck, and you only have one collection. One collection for one person, perfectly fine. One collection for 2 people might cause problems once in a while. Probably not often, but sometimes you'll have to make compromises. One collection for 3 people, probably more compromises, but it's still probably doable. Let's see. Yes, there are 60 expansions. Yes, 60, give or take. 60, give or take, expansions. But Fantasy Flight Games is consolidating the individual packs. Remember I said that it's, well, I don't know if I said this, but I'll say it now. Stories used to be, or campaigns used to be, one of these big ones, and then 60 of these little ones. But they're consolidating these. They're consolidating all this into 2. Each pack of 7 is going to be in these larger boxes, so you only need two purchases at most. One will be the investigator pack with all the investigator cards to go in your own deck that you're bringing, and the other one will be the campaign cards that you need in order to tell the story. So that's good. So they'll do that for 40, 50 out of 60. And then, but you'll still have to buy things like Stella by herself, or the Clue, the Arkham horror game, or this thing, which is a print on demand that I got from Game Center. That's cool. But so they're working to make them, they're working to consolidate them so you make less purchases. And that's nice. For now, though, it is still about 60 expansions. If this wasn't the case, though, if they weren't consolidating those things, I doubt that the game would have held my attention for very long. I would have been like, ooh, when I heard the lady describing it to her man, I'd have been like, ooh. And then I would have gone home and looked it up and been like, ooh, no. Even though I do it for Lord of the Rings. I'm just not stronger than Lord of the Rings. But I am stronger than Arkham Horror because I'm just not a big horror fan. Except this works. This really works for me. If you're stronger than your FOMO, which usually I am, sometimes. If you're stronger than your FOMO, then what you can do is buy the core set. Then play it until you're tired of playing the core set. You're tired of playing the scenario or the quest, the storyline, the campaign in the core set, and you're tired of that, and you want some more cards to make your decks differently, and you want a different story to tell, then you get the next one. You buy another one. One more. Just buy one more. Now you've got another, if you feel like you need buy a pack or start a campaign or buy one of these collected editions, whatever, you will then just play that until you're tired of that one. And when you're tired of that one, you're like, okay, time for the next one, and repeat as needed. So it's not bad. Oh, as a PS, I wrote down here that I forgot. The game does scale pretty well from 1 to 4 players. I've never played it with 2, but 1, 3, and 4, it scales pretty well. And I'm guessing that it scales also well with 2 to high. From the core set here, from one purchase of the core set, you could probably get 3. You could probably get 3 decks at most, and it wouldn't be too bad. If you've got 4 players, your cheapest bet is just grab one of these character starters that are, you know, colorfully themed. There's the red lady. Here's the yellow guy. You get the idea. Just figure out what your favorite color is and get it. But so there shouldn't be too much compromising trying to get 3 decks out of a core set. Oh boy. Last salute. Salute to inclusivity. Gender of your investigator, no matter who your investigator is, the gender of your investigator does not affect the story. It does not affect the game mechanics. But if you feel like you'd be happier if this character here, Daniela, if you want to play Daniela, but you feel happier if the character is male, that's fine. If you feel happier if your character was non-binary, that's perfectly fine. It will not affect or break or ruin the game in any way. Despite that, despite gender not having an effect on the story or the gameplay, despite who your character is attracted to, what kind of folks your character are attracted to, does not affect the gameplay or the storyline. The characters still took effort. They still put in the effort to add inclusiveness to some of the character backstories, which is fantastic. They didn't have to do this, but they did. Daniela, who I keep bringing up here, Daniela is bi. Well, she might be a lesbian, and she might be bi. That's, of course, a decision you can make for yourself, but it certainly does mention being attracted to women in her backstory. Stella is transgender. It mentions this in her backstory, and it's great. There's also who was supposed to be on my phone, and I could show it to you on my backup phone, but I don't have it. Thank you. There's also a non-binary character who I think is named Kymani. I'm going to put it in the comments below, in the description down here, and I'll link a picture of their card. And that's wonderful. It's just fantastic that they took the effort, that they thought that it'd be worth the effort to put comments like this, that put details, I guess, like this into the character cards. For a story game, that's wonderful. For a story game set in the 20s, that's wonderful. And speaking of inclusion, the community is very welcoming and very accepting. Believe me, they've accepted me. They're very welcoming and very accepting. If you want, I'll even, once again, down in the comment below, just in case, I'll put the Discord link so that you can go to the Discord that I'm in. It's very active. It's very active and very friendly. Anywho, that is my long salute to Arkham Horror, my second or third favorite game. Anyway, next week we're going to look back at August. August was not a super awesome month full of twists and surprises, but we'll still look back in August, and it'll be fun. So, and that's Wednesday. Tomorrow, of course, is still, but I'm talking about the next Ramble. The next Ramble, look back at August, okay? Take care, everyone.